Hey, what's going on, everybody? And welcome back to another episode of Pittsburgh Pirates franchise. I am your host, Taco Josh, and today we are doing the off season. So I don't think there's going to be any gameplay in this, but we are going to address our roster holes because there is a lot of them that we're going to get into here in just a second. But like and subscribe if you guys are new, and we're going to show you guys how the season went in case this is your first time watching. If not, we'll simulate to the offseason here in a second. But we finished the season 56-106. We hit 233 as a team, which is pretty bad. A lot of people would say we had a 4.32 ERA, and that also is just not incredible either. It really was a bad season overall. I mean, you're looking at like a 6 something OPS, like a low sixes OPS. So it wasn't great. It wasn't great. We're the 24th ranked team. We have a lot of holes that we need to fill, but we did win at least one award, I believe. Just for those of you guys that care, the MVP was Mookie Betts. Cy Young was Tyler Glasnow. The batting title was actually Nathaniel Lowe, who got DFA'd a few days ago in real life and just hit a home run last night as a Boston Red Sox. Reliever of the year, of course, is Edwin Diaz with a 1.29 ERA, which is pretty crazy. No rookie of the year for us. I believe, though, I don't know how Contreras is the only one nominated for a gold glove as a catcher, but that's the way that it goes. We get third place in gold glove with Cabrian Hayes, so that's always a win. And Brian Reynolds won a gold glove for us in center field with not a lot of opportunities, if we're honest. So I do question how MLB The Show weights that. And then we have no Silver Sluggers. The playoffs have not happened yet, so we're going to figure that out in a second. And the Cubs defeat the Boston Red Sox in the 2025 World Series. We'll see, I guess, how that went. They actually swept them. That's the way the bracket is. If you care, the Cubs sweep Boston in the World Series. So we didn't fire our manager because his contract was about to expire. So we got to figure that out. Also, our pitching coach is gone, so we need to figure that out on top of some of the roster stuff, which we'll get into here in just a second. So we have 5 days to offer contracts to people that aren't under contract for 2026. We also have a thing called a qualifying offer, which if you're not familiar, this year it adjusts the amount every year, but it's always a 1-year deal. This year it's a 1-year, $22 million deal for a free agent that qualifies, and there's a lot to that I won't get into right now. But if they sign with a different team after you've offered them the qualifying offer, you get a draft pick back. So there is kind of incentive to do that. It is only 1 year. If it makes sense to do it. We're going to look at retired players here real quick, see if there's any real notable ones. Charlie Morton finally kicks the bucket. Kevin Gausman decides that he's bad. Max Scherzer decides that he's old. And those are the big ones. Verlander's out. Darvish is out. No Pirates retire, which means that Andrew McCutchen is still around. Max Scherzer is a Hall of Famer. He goes in as a Washington National. Does that make sense? Those are his career stats. We have exclusive free agent negotiations. We need to review the staff because we have no manager right now. So I'm going to figure that out. We can rebrand the team if we wanted to. I'm not going to because we're the Pirates. This is Pirates franchise. This isn't we're relocating somewhere. This is the Pirates franchise. And then we have free agency coming up, obviously. So we talked about the qualifying offer earlier. I don't know that we're going to use it in this case because our two people that were able to do that to are relievers, and it just doesn't really make sense for me to give $22 million to Tim Maiza, regardless of how good he actually was last year, and the same with Ryan Baroque, who was bad last year. So I don't know that we're going to use the qualifying offer. Andrew McCutchen is still here, and he's regressing, so we need to make a decision on that probably. I might just let him walk, honestly. I don't know. And then Chad Kuhl is here as well. So I'm going to think about those for a minute. I'm also going to review the staff and just see who's out there, maybe, for our manager position. All right, just for name value alone, we're going to offer Stephen Vogt a contract here. We'll bump that up a little bit. We'll get him to like 3.8 a year over 3 years. See how he goes. He's got a pretty good record overall. He's made some playoffs. He's, made a championship series, all that stuff, which is all good. That's all stuff that we want. So we're gonna make him an offer, and maybe actually we're gonna bump that even higher, potentially get him to like 4 a year. We're still the only one to have offered on Stephen Vogt also, so I feel okay about that. Kurt Grace is evidently wowed currently, so we're okay, I think. We're okay. Stephen Vogt is now our manager for the next 3 years, so that is a big weight off of our shoulders. Nobody has accepted our contract. I still feel okay about what all of them are. Kurt Grace is now our pitching coach. So we have the staff set up. That's important because I've done one of these before where we weren't really able to find a good person until spring training started. So we're in a good spot with that at least. And now we are on our way to free agency. So some of the holes that we have to fill. First base, that's a big one. We need some outfield help in a real bad way currently. And then it says we need shortstop, but I actually think I'm okay with Nick Gonzalez moving over. We could use depth pretty much everywhere, honestly, at this moment in time. But now our second base is super weak, but we do have people coming up behind him. I guess it really just depends. So the roster there doesn't look great. We're going to go see what's available in free agency, but first we're going to select our 40-man roster because we have 3 spots available. So Doug Morgan, one of the guys we drafted, actually looks pretty good. He's a 74 overall. He can't really field at this point in his life, but we are going to go ahead and add him to the 40-man roster. First base is obviously a hole we need to fill. Second base is a hole we need to fill, although Tamar Johnson figures to potentially play in the big leagues this year, the way that's currently looking, unless we sign somebody out of house. Brian Hayes is here. Nick Gonzalez, we slid over to be the shortstop. Outfield is pretty brutal for us overall. Like, there's options out there, sure, but there's not a lot of great ones. So I think we're okay. We're at 39 over there. We're going to offer a lot of arbitration here. All right, so we're going to go through, do some arbitration stuff here. I'm going to just click through a lot of it and just update you guys at the end of that whole ordeal. The big one, though, is going to be O'Neal Cruz. In my mind, is a big part of the team in the future. He's only 27. He's a B potential, so this might be as good as he gets. But I do think that he's the center fielder of now, right? So he's a center fielder of now and of later. He's kind of the center fielder I foresee for the rest of this, unless we move him back to shortstop, which I guess is never fully out of the question. If we can get him at 15 a year, I feel okay about that for 5 years. That gets us to age 32. I would be interested in offering him that. Colin Holderman was good last year. He's 30. He's just an arbitration guy. So the guys that I've offered, O'Neal Cruz, I offered a real contract to. It's 74 over 5 years. It's about 15 a year, give or take. I think it's worth it for O'Neal Cruz specifically. The rest of the guys I'm not offering because it just doesn't really make sense to long term at this point in our history. But O'Neal Cruz is someone that I want to keep around. The relievers I just offered arbitration to. Joey Wentz was really good last year, so I'd love to have him back. The rest of these guys I've just offered arbitration to just to see, including Carson Fulmer. But these bottom 3 in Johan Ramirez, Birch Smith, and Tanner Rainey, we're letting walk. Everybody else, I've offered the contracts to Cruz and Wentz. I feel okay about that. So we do need to go in and renew a bunch of contracts because there's just going to be so many that are here. So I'm going to do that and then get back to you guys when I have a moment. So I am going to offer Paul Skeens a contract, and He is the ace of Pittsburgh. I don't really want him to go anywhere. I don't really want the money thing to become an issue down the road. Should his arbitration get more expensive? Obviously, because that's possible. He's one of the best pitchers in the game. He's a 98 overall. At the time of this, he very easily could get to a 99 and be dominant. I kind of want him through the rest of the series. So to start that, I'm going to offer him this 4-year, $90 million contract. We have the money to. I just think that that would be a good thing to be able to do. We just have to make sure that he takes that by December 2nd. Alec Jacob is the same sort of deal. He is 27. He's one of the best relievers that we have, if not the best. But I would like to renew his contract, probably for like $1 million. Why not? Feels fair. Ho Yu Chen is just one of the most interesting names I've ever seen, spelled out, and even just to say, honestly. Uh, no real thoughts on him, other than we're going to go ahead and offer him the contract renewal as we go, because we need guys in the minors. But not in the Wander Franco way, like in the minor leagues. I want to make that clear. Okay, so we're offering Skeens a contract, and we just need to make sure that he takes that by December 2nd, I believe is the day. And then all of these guys, I think, can just walk at this point. Everybody else, we've pretty much re signed. Some of the highlights were like Braden Montgomery, Jack Caglione. I think Tamar Johnson was in here potentially. Everybody that we feel like we need to re-sign. So we want some kind of depth. I think Skeens is worth like offering to. Obviously, we've offered everybody arbitration that we need to. We're gonna let a few of those guys walk. We have tendered contracts. Now it is finally time to take a look at what's happening in free agency. So we need outfield help. I think in a pretty bad way currently. And also, first base sticks out to me, some middle infield, really just anything. So there's a lot of pitching here, clearly, that we don't want. I am interested to see what the recommended free agents are for us, as a lot of them are just straight up closing pitchers and second basemen. Here's the thing, though, we basically just need a bridge second baseman, the way that this is going for us currently. But a guy like Willie Castro interests me kind of a lot, if I'm honest. 2 years, 11 million is not bad. So we have to call the guy, obviously, to see if he's like willing to sign, and he's got to be above 50%. He can pretty much play wherever he wants at this moment in time. So if we sign him as a second baseman, we could move him to shortstop if we needed to. We can move him to the outfield if we needed to. That's a great thing about Willie Castro. We're just going to see what's around in the first base market as well. Marcelo Zuna is now a first baseman, apparently. So that's real exciting. We just need warm bodies over there. Enrique Hernandez is another guy that would open up a lot of positional flexibility, although he doesn't make our team that much better in current state. So the other spots that stick out to me, Brian Reynolds, I feel okay about in left field. Doug Morgan is like an outfielder of the future, but we for sure need first base, probably, is the way that this is going. Andy Rodriguez has potential to be good, but he just was so bad last year, and I don't super trust it. I wouldn't mind another catching option. Um, I guess it's not as doom and gloom as I initially thought. I would love a good first baseman, though. To just be able to bring in a first baseman, I think would help a lot. So we're going to go ahead and click over and see what the vibe is over there. So the other option we potentially have is sign a catcher and then move Garver to first, at least part-time. And I don't hate that option either, but I do think I want to start maybe with seeing what Naylor would be able to bring to the table in current state. It does take a little bit away from Willie Castro. I think Naylor is going to be our bigger priority here, although Willie Castro would be great to get. And I think that's going to be our only two priorities for right now, at least. Looking at the starting pitching market, there's a lot of guys, and we're going to be able to add depth, I think. That's just going to be something that we are going to be able to do. And even maybe one of these top guys, like I could get behind a Zach Gallen potentially. I could get behind a Michael King potentially, to have around, even a Dylan Cease. There's a lot of guys that we can add in the pitching department. Tyler Mahle is here, obviously. Zach Eflin is here. The guy, I guess, right now would be like a Dylan Cease. I think would be the most interesting guy to me. He had a pretty good year last year. He was even a step above Michael King. They're the same age, but King's potential is a little bit higher and his overall is a little bit higher. Okay, so the three guys that we're going to call just to see where they're at is going to be Naylor, King, and Castro. I think early in free agency, this makes the most sense to me. We have a need at first base. There's not a lot of great options. Castro could plug a bunch of holes for us. And then Michael King is here as well because the starting pitching could certainly get improved. We have like depth guys behind him. Jared Jones obviously figures to be pretty good. Paul Skeens is the ace. Thomas Harrington could be good. Mitch Keller, but I would like a bona fide number two. That's something we didn't really have last year when Skeens was struggling quite a bit. And so if we're able to do that, I think that would be a big boost for us. So we'll figure out outfield down the road, hopefully, depending on how things go. And maybe Willie Castro even is the outfielder, or Doug Morgan even could just be the outfielder. But I do think this is where we're at right now. And we'll just see how we're looking in a little bit. Mason Wynn has been traded, and he is now an Arizona Diamondback for Brandon Pfaadt and Perdomo. That is interesting at a minimum. Mason Wynn is pretty good. The Cardinals get a pitcher and a shortstop replacement. Wilyer Abreu has been traded from the Red Sox to the Phillies, and the Red Sox get Nick Castellanos back in that deal, which is interesting. So let's take a glance here at how free agency is looking. 15%, 14%, and 57% is pretty good on my man Willie Castro. There's no real other rumors on him, but I wouldn't mind just getting Castro up and done out of the way. Michael King does want a not an underdog, and we are an underdog, so that kind of hurts him and his shot a little bit, I think. Jose Leclerc is a rival opportunity for us. It's interesting. He's an 82 overall. I think we have bigger needs right now, and we do have guys here that we're a little bit more interested in. Willie Castro is here. Michael King. I don't know that Michael King is going to happen, maybe. So we're going to go ahead and remove him. I would love to take a legitimate shot at getting Josh Naylor. All right, so Paul Skeens did sign our 4-year deal for $22.5 million. So that's good. That's the one notable one to this point that has happened. And we're just going to continue going to our next week of free agency. Eugenio Suarez is here at third base. He doesn't do anything for us, but he's like shockingly cheap somehow. So I think we're going to try that out for a minute. We are going to go ahead and offer Willie Castro because he's here. I'm just going to bump the years, I think, is going to be the way that this works out. We're going to go a 4-year deal, sweeten the pot a little bit money-wise, get him to like 11 and a quarter. Just make sure that he signs, and we send him a deal. And we'll see. We'll see if he accepts it or not. It would patch a little bit of a hole for us. Naylor would patch another one, but we're working on him. We're working on him slowly but surely. So we're just going to keep going. Willie Castro is a Pittsburgh Pirate. That is huge. And I already hate it because he's talking like a pirate. So we'll have to work on that a little bit probably, but it's fine. We're here. We're alive. We have a free agent. Dylan Cease is a New York Met. Not the most surprising thing in the world. Framber Valdez becomes a Ranger. Iglesias is a Yankee. And we're going to take a look at this. Michael King is here, and we flirted with him earlier. We'll go ahead and add him to our big board just to see what's up. I'm more in on Naylor than anybody else. So we're still working here on good old Naylor, and you can see he's in an interesting spot. I think in another week or so, we'll have a better shot of doing that. We're only halfway through the offseason. He is at 9% boost per week. It doesn't feel like he's in a big rush to sign necessarily. And it does seem that Yaz is gone, which was our backup, which is okay, because maybe that means we can just bring in designated bopper Kyle Schwarber, potentially. I would like to do a temperature check on him. He would at least be a good DH. And so we're going to let that ride for a minute, and we'll be back in a second. Jose Trevino is looking to sign with Philly. They need a replacement, obviously, for JT Realmuto, who just left. And that's interesting, but we don't super need him because we have Mitch Garver behind the plate for another year. Josh Naylor is inching closer and closer. I'm kind of inclined to offer him a deal right now. Kyle Schwarber is at a 45% motivation to sign. The only team we're evidently fighting with here is Kansas City. We also are going to change our team needs from power pitcher to power bat, and that should help both of these guys feel valued, I guess, in this world. I think we're going to let it ride one more week with Naylor. James Wood is now a Dodger. Good grief. Roki Sasaki. It's kind of a massive deal. Osway DePaula gets shipped off as well to the Nationals, which is an insane trade to have happen. And we're getting a call actually on Michael Lorenzen, which is interesting to me. Go ahead and add Michael Lorenzen to our board. It's a high probability to get signed. And we're going to go ahead and offer Josh Naylor a contract. I kind of think if we can get him at 16 a year for 5 years, we'll be in a pretty good spot overall to try to sign him. And that gives us $15 million more to continue to mess with. And we'll see what the vibe is on that. Kyle Schwarber, we're going to let sit for a minute because we have an interesting decision to make. Could we sign Lorenzen for less and Schwarber potentially for a little bit less? I don't know. Michael Lorenzen is 73 overall, and he doesn't even really crack. He would be our fifth starter, and I don't know that I want to pay a fifth starter $10 million a year. So I'm going to sit on that for at least a minute. Alex Bregman gets traded to the Toronto Blue Jays from the Red Sox. Real interesting. We're now in 2026. Bo Bichette is an Atlanta Brave. We got to offer Schwarber a contract, evidently. I would not mind getting him all the way up to 11 million, but I think that's as good as we can do. We'll see if he signs for that. And he does not. Kyle Schwarber is a Houston Astro, which is tough. Contract decision incoming. This is a crazy one. And Josh Naylor is a Pittsburgh Pirate, and that is huge. 5 years, $16 million. Gets it done. He also is talking like a pirate. Shiver me timbers, Josh Naylor. We'll take that. So the team right now, as it stands, I mean, Brian Reynolds isn't left for the whole season. We still probably need to address outfielder in some capacity, and we probably still need another depth pitcher, because I don't think Bubba Chandler is going to be it, although we do have a lot of potential depth guys in the minor leagues. So we'll see, you know. DH could be a platoon spot between Garver and Andy Rodriguez. I don't mind this team a ton. I would like a pitcher that's maybe a step above what Griffin Canning is, but I think the upside with Canning is pretty decent. He just wasn't very good last year. I just think we can do better than Michael Lorenzen. So I'm going to remove him for now. We'll leave Griffin Canning on. We'll see if we can maybe sign him for less than what he's looking for. And then as far as the rest of what we need, really it's just a corner outfielder. The issue that we're going to run into here is that there's really not one outside of Kyle Tucker that we love that makes us any better, just straight up makes us better at baseball. I guess you could make the argument that Harrison Bader certainly could. Maybe we'll send a feeler on him. Jesse Winker could. Andujar is interesting, I guess. I think of that group, I'm more inclined to see what Andujar is up to and take a flyer on him just to see where he's at motivation wise. But we're in an interesting spot. We got about $15.9 million left. We are 10 of 16 weeks through. Looking at candidates to trade, Mitch Keller is certainly up there just because of the contract. He's also like our fourth starter, really, arguably our fifth, and we have a lot of depth behind him. The contract could go, and that would clear up some more money flexibility to potentially bring somebody else in, I guess. I don't know. It's something to think about for sure. Could we use him to turn around and bolster like the bullpen, just add depth to that because that's just not a spot of strength for us. It's possible. I guess I am just going to see what's available so we can start to think about it potentially, just to see what's happening, just to see what's up, see what we can get back, maybe even prospect wise for him. I don't know that it'll be a ton, but like maybe, I'm basically here, guys, just looking for one just like obnoxious trade for him. It doesn't seem to be happening at this moment in time. So maybe we'll come back and revisit, or maybe we'll see what kind of MLB people we could potentially get for him. We want to add money availability. So Andrew Benintendi is interesting because he would play the corner outfield spot. He is better. He is kind of what we're looking for at this moment in time. So I'm going to keep that in the memory bank from the White Sox. It adds like it's a money neutral trade, and he's here for 2 more years, and I wouldn't hate that, honestly. Robert Stevenson could help the back end of our bullpen. Albert Suarez is 36, but an A potential somehow. Willie Adames, the shortstop, could be real interesting to me. He's only 30. He didn't have an incredible season last year, but he would fix a hole for us. The most interesting one to me is Andrew Benintendi at this point in time, but Miguel Andujar would be cheaper and arguably just as good if we were able to land him, so we can always come back to that. We have about 15 million to spend, like I said just a minute ago. I don't hate where we're at. We're just like we're in a better spot, I think, than we were last year even. So I think we'll just let it ride. I would like to see what Andujar's interest level is on signing. Kyle Finnegan is now a Chicago Cub. Kyle Tucker is a Dodger. The Dodgers are loaded. Devin Williams becomes a Boston Red Sox. And we are now able to see, as we're getting a call on Ben Lively, Miguel Andujar is interesting. He's very interested. And he plays some left field. We could just camp him out there, maybe, and move Reynolds to right field, maybe. I wouldn't hate that world because that would let Morgan and Sawinski just kind of be the backups, play some depth roles. We still have Willie Castro at second base. It would make our team better, and it's not a long-term commitment to him. Griffin Canning would come in and be the 4 starter. Especially if we're thinking about moving Mitch Keller, I think that could be worth it. So Here's the bit. We're going to sign Canning, and then we're going to move Keller for something. And then we're going to come back and figure out what we want to do with Andujar. So I'm going to offer Canning a contract. All of this is going to take place over a little bit of time. I don't even mind Canning for 3 years, maybe closer to like 10 and a half. See where he's at with that situation. Yeah, I think 10 and a half feels okay over 3 years to me. We'll see what he does with that. That leaves us with Andujar. I don't know that we'll have the money to. We can trade Keller for Benintendi, is the thought in the back of my mind once that happens. Uh, and yeah, so we'll see. We're just going to keep going here. We offered Canning a contract, but we got a last chance alert. I think we're going to bump it to 11 million over 3 years and just wear the extra couple of $1 million. And we'll see what happens. If he comes, we trade Keller, and he's a Colorado Rocky, and that's okay. He was not a needle mover for us at this point in the offseason. So that does leave us with an interesting case of what do we potentially do with Miguel Andujar? We're going to add German Marquez to our big board just because they say he's interested. 74 overall. That could be another version, potentially, of Griffin Canning. He looks about the same. He does look about the same. So maybe, just maybe, we'll offer him a contract to be the Mitch Keller replacement. How old is he? 31. 2 years feels right to me for him. 9.4. Let's try like a 9. Let's just try 9. I'm not super sold on him at this moment in time. Maybe just below 9. And we'll see what happens with German Marquez. We'll leave Andujar on for now. Again, we're just hanging out. We're just doing things right now. German Marquez says he's not interested, and that's okay because I'm not super interested in you either, Pop. Huascar Yanoa is here. I mean, maybe we add him over German Marquez, whose motivation actually went up somehow. We're basically the only team in the running for Miguel Andujar. And so I wonder if we would be able to get him at like 7.5 million a year for a couple of years. He's 31 and just hope he breaks out. Miguel Andujar, it's not quite. I think he wants more money, and I think that's fair. I think we'll just go ahead and offer him something. Phil Matone is here, though, and he could be good bullpen depth. And I think we're going to do that over Huascar Yanoa at current state. So Andujar wants 1 year, 7.2. And I think I'm actually okay with that. I would offer 2 years at 7.2, I think. Phil Matone, we need to figure out what his actual availability is. We're going to leave Marquez on for now, but I don't imagine that that's going to happen for us. Phil Matone could be interesting. He could be a real interesting addition. We're coming closer and closer to the end of our free agency. And Miguel Andujar signs. So that's always a win. He's a 78 overall player. Phil Matone is here. He's got a 56% motivation to sign. How old is Phil? 32. I could do 2 years on Phil. See where we're at with him. Is he a Pirate? He's not. He's back to the Phillies, and that's okay. We're going to take one more look here at what our team is looking like currently. Oh, David Bednar's here. Now, that is someone that I would be interested in signing. What does he want? 1 for 2.3. I'll do that in a heartbeat to bring back David Bednar, the 31-year-old. He was a Yankee temporarily. I'll even bump it a little bit more. Yeah, I don't hate that. We'll see what happens with good old David Bednar. We'll hopefully channel some of the better things. We didn't really get better at starting pitching. I think we'll do that in the next episode when I potentially am in spring training. We are a better team right now at this moment in time. David Bednar's contract decision is incoming, and he is now on the team here. Colton Cowser moves to Toronto, and today is our last chance to offer anybody a contract. The guy that we have left that we basically started the video with was Tim Miza. Now, what do we do with him? I do think it's probably worth bringing him in. I think we'll offer him a contract and just see if he takes it. That leaves us $1 million in budget. We can clear some with the Mitch Keller trade potentially if we need to. We need to address starting pitching still, probably. But we are a better team right now than we were. And so since this is the final week, we're interesting. We're just going to simulate through the date and see how we go. And he's no longer interested with the Pirates. That's okay, because free agency is done and we are on our way to spring training, which will be next week's episode. So thank you guys for watching. I guess we'll take a quick look here at some of the hypothetical lineups that we currently have that aren't adjusted yet. But Willie Castro has been signed. Josh Naylor has been signed. Miguel Andujar has signed. We have some exciting bullpen pieces potentially. The team is better. So that brings us all the way to spring training. Those are the big three, really, that we signed. We brought in David Bednar, or we brought back David Bednar, rather, and I feel okay about it. So we'll go through the team as it looks. Next episode is going to be spring training. The episode after that is going to be the start of season 2. So thank you guys for watching. If you made it to the end of the video, comment David Bednar, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Take it easy.